What did the phantom stranger say to the injured British man?
I don't know.
UK man?
Oh man.
Welcome to the greatest DC comic show on YouTube. Your holiday weekend is wrapping up with Fanboys Live and the Retro Review. I'm Magic Lasso, happy to have you here as we welcome Signature King, Tony Fett. Hello, Tony.
Hello.
And how was your week?
Week was great. Weekend was not long enough.
Okay, I hear you on that. And we also welcome Comic Food 2014. Hello to you, and how was your holiday and weekend?
Hi everyone. Had a great weekend so far. So
Awesome.
Finally got to unwind a bit.
Awesome. Well, it's great to be back with you fine gentlemen and discuss some retro DC comics and, of course, the latest DC Comics news as well. If you're joining us and watching on the Rewind, hello to you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend it with us. It definitely is appreciated. What's going on in the world of DC, Tony?
Oh, man. Not a whole lot, but the one big news that came out that everyone's kind of freaking out about is the costumes. I don't know if they got leaked or what, but boy, I tell you what, Guy Gardner, please don't let that be the real costume.
Oh, it was so bad, wasn't it?
It is awful.
What do you dislike about it?
I don't think there's anything I like about it. It was so bad. His haircut was so like Guy Gardner has like a bowl cut, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the right term for it, and that's fine. But like this was clearly a wig.
Yeah, it was. That people described it as CW, right?
Yeah,
I mean that's what it looked like.
That's a good way to put it. It's very CW-esque.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Oh boy!
And we also got to see Hawk Girl in her costume. Ugh. Like it's very opposite of James Gunn. He was very dark or whatever, but these are like, that's okay. You can have these bright colors, but like, dude, turn it down a hair. Turn it down. Like,
I was going through on my phone some old photos just in the camera, and I don't know. I want to say maybe 5 or 6 years ago. For work, I was at a county fair, and they had someone each day. They had people they hired to dress up as different characters that you could have your photo taken with at the fair. That day, they had someone who was Superman, and I looked at my photo with the gentleman that was Superman. He is wearing like the David Superman costume, like with the cape that like comes out, starts like on the shoulder blades and comes back. He's wearing that costume. I was like, whoa. He didn't look like David, but he's wearing the David costume. So
that's too funny.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, the set photos. I don't know if it was a PR thing or whatever, but it did not go well. The only character who looked okay, in my opinion, was probably Mr. Terrific.
Yeah, that looked pretty spot on, I thought.
That looked okay, but the rest was like, ugh.
You're saying it looked okay, guys. It didn't look terrific.
It didn't look terrific. It looked okay.
I don't think I saw that one.
And, well, these costumes stop either one of you from seeing the movie next year.
Probably not.
No.
Because you got to remember, some of these costumes are probably going to get a lot of touch-up post, filming. So it's probably not final, but if this is my first impression, it is not a good first impression.
No.
Is that typical for DC, though?
Yes. Yes, it is. Like, look at
remember Supergirl?
Yeah, Supergirl. Yeah. Supergirl was bad, but I think they fixed it, when the movie came out.
Yeah. This one's a little harder, though. I mean, like, why was the outfit white?
I don't know. Like, it was more white than green.
Are they going to use that to make some kind of glowing green effect or something?
That could be. They could be going back to some, I don't want to say CGI Green Lantern outfit, like a Ryan Reynolds thing, but something that they can touch up, post-op, or whatever the correct term is, in editing.
Yeah.
But it's possible. I mean, maybe some kind of mix of something practical and something with CGI light, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. But I'm still curious. Curiosity is going to get the better of me, I think, for this movie. One we haven't seen yet is the engineer. We haven't seen what she's going to look like yet. So, and the guy who's playing Lex Luthor, I forget his name. He played Beast in the X-Men.
I know who you mean. Yeah.
Can't remember his name though.
You're not. Oh, you're talking the young Beast. You're not talking Kelsey Grammer.
Not.
Okay.
Can you imagine they put Kelsey Grammer as Lex Luthor? I couldn't take that movie seriously.
We're spreading rumors here on the Fanboys. Kelsey Grammer's in Superman.
What episode of Frasier is this?
Yeah.
That's too funny. But yeah, that's really in terms of news, like movie news. There's some comic book news.
Yeah, one thing that I saw, and another reason why I think that we're going to see the news being light for the next couple weeks, they're saving most of their big announcements for San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, yep.
Coming up at the end of this month. So that's it. One thing that supposedly has leaked out that is supposed to be officially announced during San Diego Comic-Con is that James Robinson and Tony Harris and Gregory Wright are going to reunite to do a new Starman comic book, but it's going to be a Black Label DC comic book.
I saw that.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that they're expecting to get announced officially during SDCC.
When is San Diego again?
It's at the end of this month.
And I was going to say, it's got to be coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll get to, well, no, in DC, probably not, but maybe we'll get to that before Baltimore, because Tony Harris is going to be in Baltimore, so maybe we can get him to sign a couple things.
Nice.
That's interesting. Starman, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about it. I don't really think Starman is deserving of a Black Label, in my opinion, but
yeah,
maybe it'll be a home run.
Maybe. I only have one Starman comic book in my collection, and I'm not sure if that's the creative team we're talking about is on the book that I have, but it was really good. I'll say that. Whatever Starman book that I have, which is one, it's really good. I bought it because it had some guest stars in it that I liked, but it was a good story.
But it wasn't good enough to make you buy two.
Well, I don't know if the guest stars really, it was kind of more like a remembrance, like an untold flashback story. So it was kind of a self-contained story. I mean, I love to buy a mess of comic books, but you got to be practical on your budget, you know?
That's true.
Sure, yeah.
I'm chasing those Justice League books, so
I still think DC is missing out by not doing a Spectre Black Label book.
Spectre, I just met her.
Because Spectre is a violent individual, so that would make sense.
Yes.
But in other comic book news, DC Absolute Power, I'm not going to spoil anything that's happening now, but the next few issues, they're going after Shazam and his powers. So
how does that make you feel?
Good. I think it's great. I love it. I'm all in. My comic book store has like the app, you know, where you can like preview like books coming out or whatever. And I had a foil of it, and I was like, that's mine now. So I'm getting a foil for that. But yeah, I'm very excited for that. Should be interesting.
Nice.
I also saw it's going to be affecting Superman lore going forward too. Like there's a big change to Superman universe.
Oh, okay.
Well, what's going on with that? Fill me in.
You want me to spoil it?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, we can do.
Well, I mean, I just read
spoiler
this,
warning.
so yeah, I guess
spoiler warnings. We'll give you 30 seconds to spoil.
Yep.
Okay, 30 seconds for spoiling Superman. Go.
All right. So I was just reading that they and Tony leaves. They're going to be destroying the Fortress of Solitude.
Oh, interesting.
It's going to be gone.
Oh,
so,
interesting.
That's it?
Yeah.
I think that's pretty big. I mean, I don't really remember that having been done before.
Yeah.
And then look right there what we get.
I'm out.
Well, when they made it seem like it was going to be this, I know what you're referring to, and I didn't get to the part where about the fortress stuff, but they made it seem like it was going to be bigger than that. Like this is going to affect Superman forever. Like, is he going to miss in like, is he going to Aquaman it and get a hook for an arm, or
yeah,
you know, that's pretty big. But like, oh, they just destroyed your house. Like, Okay, just go
Well,
get
he
another
has
one.
nowhere to go now for his stress relief. So
Yeah.
he's gonna get angrier and angrier, and then we're gonna have an angry Superman.
Yeah,
You forget that this guy can just go to the moon and chill whenever he wants.
Well, yeah, it's not the Fortress of Solitude though.
It's the moon of solitude. He
an
could
angry
build one.
Superman is one step away from Homelander.
Yes,
you mean to tell me
exactly.
he can't go to like some remote island in the South Pacific where there's no humans and
It's
just
not the same.
it's the same.
It's not the same.
What about all the Kryptonian tech there? That's how.
What about the
he-
Bottle City?
Yeah, that's how he was. Brought back to life.
Hey, he didn't get Allstate, so he's not in good hands. So
I think you're taking this way too lightly, Tony.
I think so too.
I'm not worried about it.
What's
just
going to
the
happen to
Fortress of
Cal
Solitude.
X? I don't know. I think that's pretty big myself.
Now, if like Lois Lane was gonna die, that'd be huge. You know what I mean? Like,
But
yeah,
they'd
that
bring
would
her
affect
back if
Superman.
she did.
Yeah.
That's true. Superman could just go around the world really fast, like he did in the movie.
Then he could kiss her and she'd forget it.
Yeah, right. Dude, Robot Chicken did the best spoof on that, where Superman would just kiss everybody. Lex Luthor, kiss, forget.
Yeah.
It didn't matter who it was.
Yeah, just kiss him and forget.
Just kiss him.
Let's say hello to our live chat that's joined us too, starting with Seeking Superman. Hey, Glenn, how you doing? Thanks for stopping in until we made you leave, which was right there. Hello to Kenneth Bird, dropping some great emojis as he comes in to say hello to us. And our old Wolfie, Tony, is here too. Another Tony. So
Bizarro Tony.
Can I come back?
Yes,
Maybe I'm Bizarro
yes,
Tony. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, you can come back now. Who's done saying those mean things?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's news-wise, it's really quiet. I imagine that's what they were doing, waiting for San Diego Comic-Con. But I'm excited. Maybe we'll get more casting. I'm always up for casting.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's some characters that are rumored, like, the Green Lanterns. You know what I mean? It's confirmed that that's happening. They've got writers and they're hard at work, but I want some meat. You know what I mean? I want to know what characters they are. I want to know who's playing those.
Why does it feel like we've been talking about that for years?
Because we
have
have
happened.
We have. Well, I mean, in their defense, Green Lanterns was never canceled. It was always like a drip, a drip, a drip, and they're slowly starting to turn that fountain on. Finally, but if the Rock of Eternity was destroyed, you'd be more understanding. Yeah, maybe.
Hi, Jedi. Thanks for stopping by.
But who knows? Maybe the rumor's true. Maybe Tom Cruise is Hal Jordan. That'd be kind of neat. I don't know how I feel about it, but it'd be neat.
It'd be weird.
It would be. I agree. It'd be very weird. But Tom Cruise is used to aliens and handling them, so maybe it'll.
How
work.
would you feel if they brought Ryan Reynolds back?
I don't know. Mixed feelings, I guess. Like, that was the first Green Lantern movie. Fair enough. I don't mixed joy. You know what I mean? Like, it always feels. I liked the Green Lantern movie. I liked it. He was not a bad Green Lantern. Yeah.
I will tell you the oddest thing about that Green Lantern movie, because every year at work I would buy myself a personal calendar to put on my workstation. Okay, and I'd always get usually a superhero one. Well, that year I was trying to decide which calendar I was going to get, and there weren't a lot of choices. And I decided I'm going to get the Green Lantern movie calendar because I like the movie, that would be a good one to have. So I bought it. Not 1 month had a picture of him in the Green Lantern suit. Weird. So it felt like I just bought a Ryan Reynolds calendar.
Yeah.
And a Blake Lively in there too sometimes.
Yeah, it's just...
That's weird.
What?
Maybe
hello to John's Comics with Kids. John and I are hosting episode 2 of JLA versus Avengers, although sometimes he likes to call it Avengers versus JLA. And we're hosting that Wednesday night on his YouTube channel, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central. We're taking Justice League of America issue 2 versus Avengers issue 2, so join us for that.
But I enjoyed
Space
it.
Punk.
Yeah, it is a good movie. It really was. That's the problem I think with DC fans were too like this isn't the thing, like cancel it. You know what I mean? That's what happened to Green Lantern. That's what happened to the Snyderverse. It didn't
But
hit a
isn't part of the
number.
problem, honestly, that DC fans get like little previews of whatever's being worked on at the time, and then they completely judge the movie on that instead of waiting on and judging it on the finished product. And then that judgment from those snippets takes a life of its own, and then the movie sucks before it's even done.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
Yep.
sure.
Yep. Yeah. So many people watch a trailer and say, "Oh, this movie's gonna suck." Look at the costume. Not watching it. It's a movie. People like.
That's why I
relax.
stopped watching trailers. But
I'll never stop watching trailers. I like trailers, but a trailer doesn't like make or break it for me. I'm gonna see it anyway.
I haven't been to the actual theater since, I'm going to say the name that we used to say every week, and we haven't said it in a long time. Ezra Miller.
Oh gosh.
We used to say that name every week.
That was every week. Yeah, you're right.
Now we don't say that name at all.
He's done.
Yeah. I wonder what he's up to these days.
I don't care. I don't want to know.
Yeah, I forgot about that. My kids just watched that funny scene in the Flash movie where he runs the other Barry Allen Flash, figures out his powers. He's running down the street, eating pizza, running the cars. My daughter just saw that today, and she thought it was so cool. So she doesn't know who Ezra Miller is. God bless her heart.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good. Keep it that way.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll segue into a retro review. Originally, Signature King, you picked a different retro review tonight. And,
yes.
And that was vetoed. Why was it vetoed?
I don't remember.
Because we had already done it.
Oh, yeah.
Already done it.
And then I said, do you want to do the next 3 issues? Kind of as a part 2. And you said no.
Yeah.
And then, okay. So tonight you picked The Phantom Stranger. Tell us why you picked The Phantom Stranger.
I love The Phantom Stranger. He's definitely in my top 10 characters that I really enjoy. And what a lot of people don't know about him is his origin is just as mysterious as the Joker. Like nobody really knows for sure. There's theories, there's rumors, there's echoes, but there's no concrete evidence of where he came from. But one thing that is true about his origin is he's very closely tied to the Amazons and the wizard Shazam. He's and we can dive into that if we want. I don't think we'll get to it in this issue, but they play a huge part of his origin, and it's a character that, in my opinion, doesn't get a whole lot of love and attention. So,
is he man? Is he ghost? We will try to figure that out with our retro review tonight.
He's not a space ghost.
No, but he does go coast to coast.
Yes.
What we're going to do with a retro review tonight, we're going to start with his very first appearance, which is in Phantom Stranger Volume 1, Issue 1. These are, I think, 1952 stories that we're doing. Each issue had several different stories of smaller length in them. We're not going to do every single story in every issue. We're going to kind of give you a little bit of, I don't know, the best of the first 3 issues of Phantom Stranger. And Fu, you can take it away with your story from issue number 1.
All right. So issue number 1, Phantom Stranger. Out of the swirling mists of nowhere looms a mysterious figure to shield the innocent from the dark forces of evil, and then to disappear again into the void. Who is the Phantom Stranger? And we get this cover here with these kind of like ghouls of some kind. And there's this guy, the Phantom Stranger, who is protecting this woman. And so then on our first page, we get kind of another rendition of this same kind of scene, just from a different angle. These ghouls kind of coming at the Phantom Stranger as he protects this woman who's cowering on the ground. And what we learn here, it says the years 1691 to 1692 will live in infamy in our history, for they marked the height of the witchcraft mania in Salem, Massachusetts. In all, 32 witch suspects were hauled to the gallows. Now, out of the past comes two spectral figures to seek vengeance on a modern day descendant of a Salem witch hunter, and out of nowhere appears the Phantom Stranger to challenge the supernatural powers of the hunters from beyond. So we've got these spirits from the witch trials, and they're coming after one of the descendants here, and the Phantom Stranger has shown up to defend her. So we get the woman here talking to her family physician, trying to explain this vision of these ghouls that she's been having, and she's like, "Doctor, you don't believe me," and she kind of rushes out of the doctor's office, into the streets, and goes to the bridge, finds the bridge here, and she starts climbing up it, all just stressed out, like nobody's going to believe me. I'm going crazy. There's these apparitions that are haunting me. They're saying that, it's because I'm a descendant from the witch trials, and she's thinking of ending it. So she's climbing up on the bridge, and as she does, this hand reaches out to grab her and says, "Whatever's troubling you, young lady, you won't solve it by jumping off this bridge." And sure enough, it's the Phantom Stranger. So he says, "Why don't you tell me what's the matter?" And she says, "You won't believe me, but okay." And she starts telling him this story of how she got this book in the mail. It arrived one night. It was like a history book of the Salem witch trials. And as she was reading it, this green mist came out, and she began to feel drowsy. But then suddenly, these two apparitions appeared that began scolding her and telling her that she needed to die, to make up for what her ancestors had done. And these ghosts are again telling her is she's got to go, and so she's obviously very frightened, and she tells this Phantom Stranger what happens. He says, "Okay, well, take courage. Perhaps there's a simple explanation. Let me take you home." So as they go home, he's thinking about it, and they're talking, and when he gets there, he opens up this book, and he starts looking at it himself, and sure enough, a green mist begins to appear, and the two apparitions show up, and they're like, "Oh, you brought in someone else. Well, now he is accursed with you." um and the Phantom Stranger decides to throw a punch at one of the apparitions, and he's like, "Yeah, you seem solid enough to take a blow." And with that, the green mist goes away, and so do the apparitions. But the Phantom Stranger managed to grab some hair off the apparition, and she's like, "Yeah, but look, um, it's no delusion. There's marks in the carpet from where they were." And he's like, "Yeah, but what kind of spirit leaves tracks of mud in the carpet?" And so he begins to collect evidence, and he says, "Now, Anne, it's time to break this ghostly affair wide open. You must die." She said, "What?" And he's like, "Well, here, just lie down on the couch, play dead, and don't move no matter what happens." And he begins to flash this light, and oh, he basically makes a loud sound that sounds like a gunshot, and it causes the two people waiting outside. You notice those apparitions; they look awfully familiar here. They're like, "Oh my God, she a gunshot. My cousin must have killed herself." And they rush in. They're like, "Is she dead?" And they see her lying on the couch, and the Phantom Stranger is there, and he's like, "Mourners here so soon?" And they begin to introduce themselves as the cousin, and that's when the Phantom Stranger basically calls them out. He's like, "Yeah, you look just like those apparitions that we saw, and I bet you had something to do." I'm sorry. he says he's going to call the police, right? And that's when the Phantom Stranger acknowledges that he ripped off part of the hair from his false goatee and confronts him on it. And this cousin of hers pulls out his gun, and he's like, you talk too much. And the Phantom Stranger grabs the gun from him, attacks him, grabs the book out of the woman's hand. She tried stealing it, and there's a gas pellet. Basically, there's been these little green gas pellets that have been falling out of the book that have been causing this green mist, and one of those breaks, and he grabs it. Again, they have a little tussle back and forth, and again the Phantom Stranger wins. They realize that basically the woman here, she was set to inherit the family fortune, but if she had died, it would have gone to her cousin. And so he was trying to convince her basically to take herself out so that he could get the inheritance. And essentially this whole thing was a scam where these green pellets would fall into the ground, create this green mist. They'd come in as ghosts to scare her enough that she'd want to take her own life. So, and that is the end of this story. Tony, I can only imagine that you are a big fan of Scooby-Doo.
I was thinking the exact same thing.
You know what? I like Scooby-Doo.
And the other stories in this book are very similar too.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I think they're all kind of like that.
Scooby-Doo.
Well, I think you might find a theme with the story that I'm going to review from the next issue. But first, I'll say hello to some folks who've joined us since we started the retro review. Let's say hello to Super Russ 9000. How you doing? Great to see you here.
Hey, Russ.
Yeah. Then we have Just a Little Podcast. Cookie's joining us. Hope you're doing well. Always great to see you. The awesome art of Alan Shell is here with us. I haven't caught one of his Saturday morning lives in a while. I don't know if I'm missing them or if they haven't had them, but he does those with J Hood Creative, and those are always a great time. So thank you all for joining us too. So here we are in the second issue, and I'm going to do the story that reflects the cover here. We have a killer shadow, the strange story of a creeping doom that struck at night. The killer shadow. So on our splash page, we kind of have a little bit of repeat there. Well, it's not a full splash page, but of what we saw on the cover. So we start out at a lawn party in Long Island where John Neville makes a suggestion. He says, well, as you know, I'm building a new summer house on my estate, and to make sure the house lasts a long time, I must bury a human body under the building. And his guests are like, what? And he says, well, don't be so alarmed. According to the old legend, it is permissible to use a person's shadow as a substitute. Does anyone want to volunteer? How about you, Myra? And everyone's like, yeah, Myra, you should do it. It will be fun. So she's kind of goaded into doing it. And she says, okay, but how do you bury a person's shadow? So they go around on the side of the grounds and they measure her shadow outline with string. And they say, when we put the string around this, essentially your shadow is tied inside. So by slipping the string into a box, the shadow is imprisoned inside the box. Then we'll bury the box under the cornerstone of the summer house. Okay, that should be it, right? That night, Myra is reading a magazine before retiring for the evening, and she hears, Myra, can you hear me? And she's like, WTF? And it is her shadow. And her shadow says, I am your shadow, the one you buried. I am dying. And when I am dead, you will die too within 40 days. Your guardian forgot to tell you this, didn't he? That within 40 days, the person whose shadow was buried must die too. Look, you have no shadow yourself. And she turns around and realizes she doesn't have a shadow. At that point, the Phantom Stranger darts into the room and he says, don't be frightened, Myra. Things are not always as bad as they appear to be. And he starts fighting the shadow. He says, this is the first time I ever shadow boxed and hit something solid. And the shadow says, but I am a shadow. My shape changes constantly. No living person could do this. He says, not unless he used a trick device. And the shadow insists, you can't harm me. Look how easily I slip from your hands. And he says, it's a clever illusion. And then the shadow suddenly disappears. And Phantom Stranger's talking to Myra, and she's like, it was a shadow, wasn't it? I saw it fade and disappear. And he says, yes, it disappeared, but through a hidden panel in these trick mirrors that open up into a secret passageway. Let me show you how the shadow changed with these trick funhouse mirrors. And they head inside this little room, and he explains how this was prepared for the stunt. The radiant wall lighting arrangement was designed in a way so that no object can cast a shadow. So that's why when she couldn't see her shadow, she had believed that she had lost it. And he says, come outside, I'll prove that you actually have a shadow. So she comes outside, and there is a shadow there for her. And she's like, well, whatever this reason is for the shadow trying to frighten me, and won't get the chance to do this again. I am leaving this place tomorrow. So towards the dusk of the next day on this Long Island estate, Myra and her guardian step from a motor launch, and they say, I always liked your summer home, Uncle John. It's Myra saying, I always liked your summer home, Uncle John. It's so peaceful. He's like, come into the house, Myra. I prepared a surprise for you. And she comes in, and there's all these shadows, and she starts to freak out. And he says, well, don't be freaked out. This is a surprise party, a shadow party, only to poke fun at your shadow experience of last night. And people take off their masks and laugh. It's her friends and relatives, and they have these magic lanterns, shadow shows. And she says, well, where is my costume to wear? So they give her a costume. And this is the text. I just going to read this verbatim. Soon Myra Hunter is clad in her own costume, and the gay party is in full swing. So, and she's making some funny animal shadows, and her uncle says, I'm going to show you a trick. I'm going to prove that you can walk away and leave your shadow behind you. And she's like, what? So he has her stand in front of this screen, and this lamp casts her shadow on it. Then he turns the wheel to various different colors. First he does green, then he does blue, and then he has her walk away, and her shadow stays on the screen. And they're like, oh, that's some type of cool illusion. But it freaks her out a little bit, because later on, she still sees her shadow there, and she doesn't know why. So Phantom Stranger mysteriously shows up again and says, how it was done, you wonder, let me explain. And he says, we stood behind the screen that was previously coated with luminous green paint. And that paint made it invisible in ordinary light. But then the light was passed through this hole in this disc covered with a red gelatin. Then your uncle switched it to green and blue, which actively affected the painted screen. And all the light was shut off, and your imprint of your shadow was fixed to the screen as you stepped away from it. So he's kind of giving away the magician's trick, so to speak. And at that moment, the shadow leaps off the screen. And I waited for you here, Myra. Knowing curiosity would bring you back, I intended to kill you, but now the meddler will have to die too. And she freaks that her shadow's alive, and the shadow and Phantom Stranger start to fight. He says, I came here to prevent a murder, not to fall victim to one. And the two struggling figures are out offside the patio. They're into the icy waters. They plunge. And then a few minutes pass, and up comes Phantom Stranger with the shadow, and it's revealed it's her Uncle John, her guardian. He's the one behind all of this. And he has been your guardian and in charge of your vast fortune for so long, he regarded it as his own. To get it, he hoped either to drive you mad or kill you. I suggest you call the police. And as Myra returns to thank the Phantom Stranger, he is gone. He has disappeared into the shadows of the night. So do you see any similarity between that and your first story? It's like the same story.
It's the same exact story. Yeah. Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, Ruby Roo. And, yep, I mean, Alan got it there.
The inheritance, yep.
Yep, and then Peter Pan and his shadow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And somehow we got to get Jay Hood off a strike. So we'll have to work on that later. That's an after Fanboys problem. So there we go with 2 retro reviews in, and Mr. Tony.
What do you got?
What do you got for us?
Let me pop my screen up here. Which one I'm looking for? Here we go. Phantom Stranger issue 3. So this one is more Phantom Stranger-esque. And I read through all the stories in the issue, and they all seem to have the same thing in common, the same ending. And I'm not going to spoil it till we get there, but I'll tell you when we get there. But yeah, Phantom Stranger number 3 or issue 3. Same thing with this issue. There's a whole bunch of stories. I just went with the one that kind of went with the cover here. Ghosts for Sale is the title for this one. So he is at an illusionist show. His name is Mr. Greystone, and he's the world's greatest magician. Almost said musician. Oh man, that would have been a meme for sure. So he all of a sudden he's handed a note, from the usher, and it says, "Hey, meet me in my dressing room after the show's done. I need your help." So once the show is ended, Phantom Stranger meets the Mr. Greystone in this dressing room, and he says, "Listen, Mr. Phantom Stranger, I need your help. Before you came into the audience, I did this really cool trick where I put Sally into a box, and we turn it around, and she's supposed to fall through the floor, and then you open it up, and Sally's gone. Well, turns out I accidentally put Sally somewhere else. She's not where she's supposed to be. I think I sent her to another dimension because I've dabbled in magic before." And Phantom Stranger says, "Yeah, there's probably a reasonable explanation for this. So let's go take a look." So he put Phantom Stranger in the box, and sure enough, he just felt like he was falling through space, and finally lands, and there's the assistant. And they call this place the Ghost World. And he's also met by another former assistant that's trapped here. And in this place, they say there's ghosts, there's ghouls, there's goblins, the terrible G's. But anyway, they do some wandering around, and they come across the what seems to be the head honcho for this area. And her name is something I really can't pronounce. We're just going to call her Sally. No, we're going to call her Rachel. So this big mastermind behind the Ghost World is Rachel, and the Phantom Stranger confronts her, and they say, "Hey, listen, you're going to send us back to where we want to go, back to our world, or something bad's going to happen to you. You can't keep us here." And she said, "No, I'm going to keep you here forever. There's absolutely nothing you can do." So what does he do? Punches her right in the face. Right in the face. And that somehow convinces her to release them back up into their world. Now they've made it out of the box. And just as the pair go to thank Phantom Stranger, he's mysteriously gone. And that's it. That's the whole story. That's the whole first story. And I was reading all the issues here. They're all really short, or all the stories are really short. They all end with the Phantom Stranger punching somebody, like right here, and then the story's over. So he must have one heck of a wallop. I also want to point out at this issue, at the bottom here, we have a really nice ad for Red Ryder BB guns, just in time for Christmas.
Just shoot your eye out.
You will, but I love how it's a Christmas ad too. So it's like, oh, it's perfect. So don't forget to pick up your Red Ryder BB guns, folks.
All right. So some thoughts about these stories that we read tonight.
They're fun. They're unique. I think the didn't really get supernatural like until issue 3. I mean, I didn't read the rest of issue 1 or 2, so I have no idea. Maybe there's one in there, but only mine was kind of supernatural.
Is it meant to be supernatural, or?
Yeah, he's a supernatural character. Yeah, he can go toe to toe with the Spectre and throw down, which he has before.
All right.
And who wins?
They both won because the DC universe got to live.
Right.
So that's unique.
And Fu, any thoughts that you had, or Anything you want to
Uh,
add, or?
yeah, I mean, not my favorite. I mean, it's not really my style of story, but like I said, it read very much like a Scooby Doo
Yeah.
story to me. But
I think for that
I had the
era,
same
it kind of
vibe.
makes
Yeah.
but
sense.
yeah, it's very old.
Yeah.
It's from the 50s, right?
Yeah.
52. Yeah, 52.
So I was surprised at how wordy the story was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I'm looking right now to see how many issues this lasted. This first volume.
It was a
I think
lot.
Was it?
If I recall correctly, let me take a
No,
look.
I thought. No, only
Volume
6.
one, yes, it had 6 issues.
Oh, okay, yeah, 6. It was
And
volume 2 that went a little while.
volume 2 started in 69.
Yep.
When did volume 3 come out? What year was that? 1987. And then it went all the way and made appearance in New 52 and then just
New
kind of fell
52.
off. Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm. I bet you, I mean, these for the time were probably pretty good for the time. I
Yeah.
think the characters evolved a lot, obviously, since then.
Yeah.
I would kind of think that the late silver / early bronze stories are probably going to be a little bit more to my personal liking.
Yeah.
But he has one of the more interesting origins in the DC universe, in my opinion. It's something that I thought for sure would have been retcon out, but it hasn't been, and that's good. I like the fact that it stayed the same, because it does have a huge religious significance. His origin story. I mean, I'm talking about like God, and they mention Jesus in his origin story. So it's even in the New 52 they talk about it. So I thought for sure that would have been scrubbed out, but it hasn't. So that's kind of nice.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, so we'll kind of advance to the book show portion, and I will let the chat know it looks like we're going to have a little extra time left in today's show that we get to do the fun. If you have questions for the fanboys, you can submit them because we'll answer them on the fly if there's any questions. So start thinking about those or throwing them in the chat, and after the book show portion, we'll answer a few questions if there are any. Maybe there won't be any. And Alan makes a good point too. Shadow's another character, very reminiscent, I think, of Phantom Stranger.
Yes. Yep.
So I just imagine Shadow, Phantom Stranger, Spectre, and like Deadman would all hang out, at a bar, which sounds like the beginning.
And
of
the
joke,
question.
But, oh yeah, and the question, yeah.
Yeah. The question, yeah, but he's more like of a noir type, you know. Interesting.
Okay. Yeah. So, book show. Who wants to go first?
I've got a quick one.
Okay, go for it.
All right, we just mentioned this book from 1987. I've got The Phantom Stranger, Volume 3, Number 1.
That's a great cover.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to avoid the glare.
Yeah. The Heart.
Yeah, I was
of
going
a
through my
Stranger.
collection. I've got the New 52 one, but I also had this one as well. So
That's cool.
there you go. That's all the Phantom Stranger I had.
Okay. I don't have a lot of Phantom Stranger. Like, Phantom Stranger was an honorary Justice League member, and there's a really cool Justice League cover that he's on, but I wanted to choose something else because I show a lot of Justice League on my channel as it is right now. So for my book show portion, I thought this was kind of cool. I love this cover.
Oh, that is
Secret
an important
Origin.
issue.
So if I remember correctly, this is Secret Origins. I think it's volume 3, issue number 13. I'm sorry. No, issue 10. Sorry, issue 10. If I remember correctly, there's 4 supposed secret origins of the Phantom Stranger. All 4 are dramatically different from one another, but it's never quite said if any of them are really the truth. But I think this cover is awesome.
It is.
So, and I'll talk about what's going on my channel. Already on the channel, I have my back issue of the week YouTube short. Remember last week I said I was going to do a hero with a patriotic costume who made his first appearance in their own title kind of like Phantom Stranger did. His first appearance was in his own title. I did Steel. And that short is out on my channel now. Did a Comic Book Editions Volume 199 video this past week that focused on the Fantastic Four. So that's what's on my channel. What's coming up is another Back Issue of the Week YouTube short tomorrow. It will be a Marvel group. Tuesday is my Comic Book Editions Volume 200 video. And I think you guys are familiar, at least have heard me talk about it if you haven't seen me in a video discuss it. My friend Andre in Brazil surprised me with a package. So for Volume 200, I unboxed something that I had no idea what's inside. And I will say that he submitted things that I didn't even know existed. So that's vintage things too that I didn't even know existed. So that's pretty cool. I'm excited to share that. And then Wednesday on John's Comics with Kids channel, it's episode 2 of JLA versus Avengers. That will be on John's Comics with Kids YouTube channel, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. So I'm looking forward to that, and that's what's coming up on my channel. Take it away, SK.
Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of Phantom Stranger stuff. Just some random issues, but what I will show off is for those of you who have not seen my Hershey Comic-Con signature haul, I'll give you a little preview here of the 2024 Free Comic Book Day Absolute Power preview foily cover signed by Mr. Mark Waid. And coming up on the channel, I go through a quick review of all the foil books I've accumulated since my last foil haul video. So it's already been filmed. I'm editing it now, and it seems shorts wise I've received some kind of shadow ban. When I upload shorts now, I struggle to hit 5 views. So something somewhere isn't clicking.
To be honest with you, I have heard other people, even outside of the comic book community, talking about how their algorithm is against them right now. So yeah. I don't know if it's just
or maybe it is the algorithm. Very well could be.
Like the algorithm is not working in anyone's favor. And I'm not just talking just the comic book community, because I watch some other channels that have nothing to do with comic books on a regular basis, and they were talking about it too.
I went all the way up and then came down just as hard. I'm sitting on shorts that have views of 2.
Wow. Hey, K-pop.
So yeah, I got a lot to do. So I'm gonna stick with the filmed content for a while, the actual real videos for a while, till shorts figures it out. The algorithm decides to bless me a little bit further. So for those of you who enjoyed the shorts, sorry, this is the way it's gonna have to be. You're actually gonna get my face for a while. So I know that's unfortunate, but what we can do.
Sometimes your face has a crown on it.
Sometimes.
Yeah. All right. Well, we do have. We're going to do a couple questions from the chat here. Starting with this question from Cookie: Phantom Stranger versus Deadman versus Spectre. Who wins?
Phantom and Spectre already went toe to toe, and nobody won. I guess technically they both won or lost. They tied. So I don't know. Not Deadman.
Go with Spectre.
I feel
it's
the
a
same
tough
way.
choice. Yeah.
I feel like Spectre's more powerful. Why do you think so, Fu?
He's God's wrath, right?
Yeah, you're right. He's God's wrath. But Phantom Stranger is also, I won't get into it. He's also controlled by a higher power. So they're both essentially answering to the same guy, if you think about it. They're different org trees, but they have the same boss.
Yeah. We have another question here that I think is a good one for Fu to answer.
Oh, that's a good question.
Thank you for submitting that question there, viewer.
Yeah.
Although Tim did submit his first comic book video for the first time in a long time. So very recently, like this week. So go check it out.
Well, the algorithm must be against him because I'm subscribed and I didn't get notified of that.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Fu, how come you didn't talk about what's coming up on your channel?
Nothing is coming up on my channel.
Oh, that'd be why. Okay. Oh, very cool.
So,
Well, I saw I'm loving the Wonder Woman logo back there.
Thank you. I got called out. You know, that used to be behind me often. And then when I moved, it hadn't been, and I kind of got called out on that a little bit. So
it's wonderful.
It is. Man, I keep buying stuff, and not that I don't have enough to put on the walls already, but getting it on the walls seems to be the problem. But there's like nothing on my wall in any room. I have one Wonder Woman calendar up, which if you notice, if you follow me on Instagram, on the first day of the month in my story, I show what the picture is for the month. And that's literally the only thing I have on a wall anywhere. So
that's okay. Some people just don't put things on.
Well, no, I've got them and I want to put them up, but that just seems like a lot of work.
Well, that's true.
The hammer and some nails, you know.
Hot glue it. You know, I'm picky. I gotta bust out the level, and all the tops got to be like straight. You know what I mean? It's weird because when I'm hanging like the family photos, they're just like, okay, here we go. You know, whatever. But in my room, I'm whipping out the laser level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It can be a pain.
So, Alan, mine would be, I don't know the specific issues. It would definitely be a Justice League comic book because, like I said, he was an honorary member and made some appearances. It would be a Bronze Age Justice League comic book. I don't even know if he would have been on the cover. He probably would have just appeared on the inside. That would have been mine.
Yeah, I don't think I recall even hearing of him until probably New 52, to be honest.
Okay.
The first time I ran into the Phantom Stranger, it was 1993. I was in kindergarten. I was at the public library in Hills, Minnesota, a very tiny town in Hills, Minnesota. And they had, I didn't know what it was now, but it's like an omnibus or a trade paperback of a reprint of a bunch of old comic books. And I read a Phantom Stranger book, not knowing what it was. But I think it was from volume 2 sometime. It wasn't quite from the 50s. So I didn't understand a word of it, you know, or what was going on, but it was pretty cool.
Tony, could you be more specific?
Yeah, I was wearing a red shirt. Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know why I remember that, but I was asking my grandpa what that word was, and he said that was phantom. So that was the first time I ever ran into that word.
Did you notice in our stories too that none of the characters like freaked out when he just appeared?
I know, yeah.
Were people
they all just like, yeah, okay, cool.
Were people less scared in the 1950s?
Apparently.
Hey, if you show up in a nice suit, you know, you must be the nice guy.
Well, if you recall back then, you could just like walk up to people's house or call them, you know what I mean? Like, and you'd answer the phone. You didn't know who it was, but you'd answer the phone.
That's how you found out who it was.
Yeah.
Nowadays, when someone calls, you're like, this is a scam.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a scam.
You're like, nobody that I would want to talk to would actually call me.
Exactly. Right.
So
I just assume anyone who wants to call me is either a bill collector or trying to scam me. Either way, they want money.
Yeah.
It's an easy way to live.
So I guess that means rotation-wise, I got the pick for the retro review next week.
Sorry, important announcement.
Tell me.
Starting sometime in August, I believe it's end of August, it can now rotate back to me on my channel. So for all 7 of you that enjoy my content, you'll be very, very happy.
Cool.
So stay tuned for that. If you haven't subscribed to me and you enjoy the Fanboys, this is your warning. You're going to want to unfortunately subscribe so you don't miss anything.
And there are links to everyone's YouTube channel,
Yes.
regardless if they showed up to the show tonight or not, regardless if they currently have content on their channel or not. That is in the link to this video. By the way, because I keep forgetting to mention this too, share your favorite Phantom Stranger cover with us on Instagram. Just use the hashtag Fanboys Live The Retro review because it's not, nearly a long enough hashtag. And so we can find it though. But we would love to see any Phantom Stranger covers that are in your collection or something that you're looking forward to. We'd love for you to share that on Instagram with using that hashtag. That would be awesome.
Very good.
Yeah. That brings
All
us to
right.
the end of this Fanboys Live and the Retro Review, the greatest DC comic show on YouTube. Thank you so much for those that joined us in the live chat. And if you watched in the rewind all the way to the end, we appreciate you as well. Same bat time, same bat stream next week. We will see you then. Until then, take care and have a happy, healthy, successful week. Everyone say bye.
Bye.
Bye.